Hey guys, this is Brandi Rhodes, and you're listening to another wrestling podcast.
It's time for another wrestling podcast.
The measuring stick just changed around here, buddy. You're looking at
the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
They think they got the answers. I change the question.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
These are the best in the world, brother. These are the best at what they do.
When we talk about the legends of the sport, there's only two in my book.
Another wrestling podcast.
All right. Welcome to another wrestling podcast. This is episode 135. I'm Credo.
And I'm Angry Cooter.
And we're the Social Assassins.
And we're just calling it how we see it, baby.
That's right. Thanks for joining us. It's time for Thanksgiving. It's time for food. It's time for loved ones, family, football.
Football.
This is it, man. This is the Thanksgiving episode we call it. We're home for the holidays today.
Oh, God. Hey, you know what? It's funny because we're actually recording on what I like to call amateur night, the eve of Thanksgiving. You know, the biggest party night of the year, Credo. I fucking hate this day.
Thanksgiving Eve, and we're home partying, talking wrestling. We're living it up.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'd rather do that than go to these bars nowadays, you know, where all these college kids come home for that weekend and they just sit there and lie about how many bitches they fucked at their first semester of college. Like they think they're all cool and shit, and it's just like, dude, listen, seriously, this shit is played out. Man, you're gonna look at yourself in 5 years and you're gonna hate yourself.
No, I just want to sit down and play Nintendo Classics, Super Mario Brother it up, and that's it. That's my party.
Yeah, right.
But you know, and it is the holidays. We're home. We're also going to be talking to Brandi Rhodes, the wife of Cody Rhodes.
Oh, that's going to be such a good interview.
It's yeah, man. We're going to find out what she's doing for Thanksgiving this year and a whole lot more. So stay tuned for that. She'll be joining us. But man, it's we're giving thanks today. Well, I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later. Maybe giving thanks while we're home for the holidays, right? We're giving thanks maybe of our area, about the wrestling in our area, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we've bear witness to some pretty historic moments here, being that we live in the Hudson Valley. So we'll probably take a look back at some of the good moments that we've had in our area, and even some that we've witnessed for ourselves. So that should be an interesting discussion.
Definitely. But everybody listening, tuning in right now, you're sitting down, you're getting ready for some turkey gravy. Check out anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. It's the mothership for anything and everything AWP, Cooter. We got every episode on there. Shows we've done, things that we've done. Check it out. Go exploring while you're sitting down eating some turkey, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got some YouTube exclusives. All our social media is up on there, so give us a like, a poke, a tweet, a German suplex, whatever the hell you want, and just give us some goddamn love. Is that too much to ask?
Well, there you go. Each and every week, before we even talk about that, it's been a big week. There's too much wrestling each week, so let's get right into the week that was.
Oh, boy. What a week it was.
Goldberg is now the one who's the one in 21-1, and he's, I don't know, man. What happened? Nobody saw this coming? Is it one of those things that Vince just had to get us? He needed another moment since the Undertaker streak. He needed to get us. He needed to one-up us.
You can't even ask me what happened. You know why? Because they did their entrances, and I literally, stepped outside to grab a bottle of water, and by the time I got back, Lesnar was on the ground and Goldberg had his hands in the air. I said, what the fuck just happened?
Dude, my Apple TV quit on me, so I had to turn on my phone really quick and see it. By the time I turned on my phone, he was getting pinned, and that was it. I'm like, the one time it would happen would be the main event on the quickest match of the night. So that's great. Thank you.
Does that bother you that happened the way it did, or can you see why did it, or because there's all these rumors going around. Oh, well, he wasn't ready for a full-length match. They want to set up for a Mania match. But now we hear him entering the Rumble and trying to go for a run at the title, and I'm just like, why?
Well, when I first heard all that stuff, and then when I, was thinking what was going to happen, I knew they weren't going to go like 20 or 30 minutes, but I mean, like, it was a minute and a half. That's how long it was. Minute and 25 seconds, 24, whatever. It was like a minute and a half. And I mean, going 5 minutes, 10 minutes would have been great, but I knew he wasn't going to go like a half hour with him because he couldn't keep up. But come on, that's like, okay, you're taking this. I always called Brock as like the new Phenom because after he beat the Undertaker kind of lost that, that pizzazz, that phenomness. I'm gonna call it. So he lost it. So Brock became that main attraction, the Andre the Giant of this era, if you will. The man just had a UFC fight, and like I said, he won. That's like when you look in the land of pro wrestling, the UFC is like, the real sport. So he won in UFC this year. He's been a beast ever since. Like, what did you say? John Cena is the only one that beat him since his return, or what was it? Something else like that?
Yeah, when he first came back. I mean, he lost his first match back to
Triple
Cena.
H. Triple H beat him in that.
And Triple H beat him at Mania. I mean, he hasn't taken too many losses. And, he beat the Undertaker. He won the title. I believe it was SummerSlam or somewhere around there, where he suplexed Cena 16 times. He's been built up as this dominant ass kicker where nobody can touch him. I mean, even the hottest guy, well, not that he was the hottest guy, but the guy that Vince would hope would be the hottest guy, Roman Reigns, was even not made to look strong around Brock Lesnar. I mean, this guy was it. This is your guy, and now we are jobbing him out to a 50-year-old man who has not been in the ring in over a fucking decade. Man. That makes sense to who?
And it's insane though to think like, Vince, somebody's like running the ship. Somebody, I don't know, something's going on that's a little weird because 47 years. That's what I'm saying. Like, he won a legit fight this year against like a younger guy, younger than him, and you're telling me the 47-year-old against the 38-whatever-year-old is, I don't know.
Goldberg's 49 and Lesnar is 38, and I think Mark Hunt might actually have been older than him. Don't quote me on that. I'm not positive. But the thing that drives me nuts about this, it's not just that match. I mean, that whole card was a little iffy from start to finish. I mean, the bullshit finish with the IC title match.
Many bullshit finishes.
The bullshit finish with the cruiserweight match, and it was just one what the fuck after another. And especially coming off the heels of that amazing NXT pay-per-view that we had to watch on my phone on the way back from the Northeast Wrestling show, which was fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, man.
It's like Triple H even tweeted it out. All right, it's time for the main roster to step their game up because every match on that card was a classic, in my opinion, and we get this bullshit from the main roster, and for what purpose?
I love that they went the old school Survivor Series route as far as teams, but it was too much Raw versus SmackDown. Like, I didn't want to, like I said before, I want to see like, the Shields or whatever, the Shield versus, the Wyatts, like team names, like give them names or whatever. Like, there's just too much Raw versus SmackDown. Maybe one match should have been Raw versus SmackDown, but like too many. Like, even the tag teams was just too much. It was just, there should be a tag team on a team and then have a few other people. Make it into like a big series like the Cruiserweight Classic. Make it a Survivor Series to where it's like a few weeks is these teams get whittled down. But that's okay, overthinking it. But yeah, one night for NXT A+, the other night for the main roster. It doesn't seem like the main roster anymore. I don't know really what's going on with them.
Here's the other question I have for you. I could have sworn. Now, am I wrong? Wasn't somebody supposed to get some picks from the other brand if they had won more of the elimination matches?
I don't.
And that just kind of sort of disappeared. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe I've been drinking too much, but I'm almost positive at one point that was supposed to happen, which was why I made certain picks the way I did. Because I thought certain people would get drafted over if so-and-so won this match or whatever. I'm like so confused because the way they book things changes. I mean, even look at last month with the Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
We didn't know what the main event was going to be because somebody fucked up, and now we have 3 main events because we couldn't be made to look like fools.
I know. I almost feel like they backpedaled on what they wanted to do because these stipulations weren't just like a loser leave town or just whatever, any kind of other stipulation. It was, if he wins, the championship comes over here, or if he wins, the championship comes over there with the cruiserweight, and you get the cruiserweight division. And it was almost in my head that the way these were booked was that they just were hating how it was. Like, they didn't really like the cruiserweight division on Raw. Maybe they want, like, it just seemed like the stipulations seemed so odd that that's what they really wanted. They were changing the storylines around on us. And at last minute, man, you had that screwy finish. And that's the thing with these screwy finishes is that this is one of the big 4 pay-per-views of the year. And this should be like the end games to where then you just
right.
This is where you restart the story over the next day. Like, you have 4 times a year to restart the story over, and that's great. But when you don't do it and you treat it like a Raw or nothing big, nothing major really happens besides a mini Shield reunion. Like, okay,
right?
No, they needed more than that.
That's the thing that drives me nuts. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I could see you doing that on one of these, lower tier pay-per-views where you're setting up for a rematch or something like this. But yeah, the big 4 are supposed to be the end-all be-all to certain feuds, and we're getting screw job finishes because it's Survivor Series. Ever since Sean got to screw Bret Hart at Survivor Series, we get screwed every Big 4 pay-per-view ever since now, it almost seems like.
Oh my gosh. They made the screw job a thing now every few years. It's like someone's got to get screwed or something. Even like Natalya and Charlotte have the screw job finish, didn't they, at one point? Like, stop using it. Stop. It's like these little things.
How many sharpshooters did we see this weekend, for God's sakes? I mean,
we get it. We're in Canada, but
I think
who would love it, it's like, come on, still.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was used in NXT. I mean, I know Cesaro used one. I know Natty used one. It's like, all right, enough with the fucking.
Dillinger, I think, did a sharpshooter right here or something.
Yeah, that's what I think somebody did in NXT. That's what I'm saying. It's like, all right, that's enough. The first one was cool.
But
you guys get the memo,
So so Goldberg wins in this minute and a half out of this whole weekend. I think they were trying to really get that as the shock factor to where no matter how much it sucked or what was good, people were going to talk about this. All right, so you have this 47, 49-year-old now who wins, kind of deflates that whole momentum bubble they had pretty much with Lesnar. And, like, for what? Because I think the one point I want to bring up is that Lesnar was that new phenom, right? And the next person to beat him, you think it would go to, like, it would give somebody this major push, right?
Right. So, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
They're like afraid, right? They're afraid to pull the trigger because it's almost like, what if you quit like Del Rio quit, or what if you quit like CM Punk quit? To where you give this younger guy this big ball, they could take that and go to TNA and have that. But you know what I mean? Like, it's such a big thing to what if that guy just says, I don't want to wrestle after this, you give it to like this older guy, like you give it to Goldberg, to where that legacy stays in WWE, and nobody, he's definitely not going over to TNA to wrestle. You know what I mean? Like, he's done after this. Like, that's it. And you know what I mean? So you kind of it goes to him knowing that doesn't leave the WWE in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's 2 things I'd like to say about this. One, Lesnar taking that pin. Lesnar's your special attraction. One. And when you drop him out to a guy that age, I mean, granted, he's got the fans behind him, but how long will that go for? I mean, nostalgia only lasts for so long. But now, Lesnar's not so special anymore because he got beat by an old man. 2, you're absolutely right. I mean, you would think that somebody would get this big, massive push, but we're giving it to somebody who could potentially get hurt training. I mean, dude, no, and I don't see that to be a smart ass because, I mean, at that age, I mean, I know people who severely pull muscles when they're lifting weights, for Christ's sake, let alone, doing in-ring work like that. I mean, come on. I mean, we're going to build this major storyline against somebody that age, and we're really going to have to protect them. Like, I mean, think back to Rock versus Cena, and we had to build that for a year. Do you know how risky that was?
I know. That brings that goes right into right there too. Is that he entered himself in the Royal Rumble? So yeah, obviously this is going to be definitely it's a definite continuation to at least Mania, because if he's going to be in the Rumble, something's either going to happen. But you know what I mean. So yeah, they're definitely
he'll either win, get a title shot, or he'll lose because Lesnar will screw him, and then they'll fight again.
It's funny because it's like when Sting did this, it's like, well, who else do we have left that could actually do this? And nobody really thought it would happen with Goldberg, but it is. But yeah, it's almost like it's what other legends are left after this as far as like guys from that era. It's like,
especially from WCW. What WCW wrestler can we bastardize and make more money off of? I mean, we had a Kevin Nash, we had an NWO, we had a Steiner. Oh God, we had Sting, we've had Goldberg. I mean, who's left?
I know.
We even brought back Bret Hart, for Christ's sake.
So yeah, it's another one of those end of the era matches. It's interesting, but yeah, I mean, man, at the end of the day, Goldberg winning, come on, like that was like that quick too. At least like, I don't know.
No offense, literally a shoulder tackle into the corner, and that's all he got.
So it's like that bubble, man. A bubble burst that night because, man, like I feel like they were really building it for something big. And, hey, what if Roman Reigns got that win against? Would you be as pissed off, or I don't know?
No, because as much as I don't like Roman Reigns, at least you could justify why you would put that win on Reigns, because he's the younger guy. He's going to be around for the next couple of years. That's a push for somebody like Reigns. He would need something like that to build his credibility with the fans. I mean, granted, the fans don't like him because, marks are marks, but I mean, to have that feather in your cap, basically says, hey, man, you know what? You are the next guy. I mean, look at John Cena. Look what he had to do. I mean, really, I don't think anybody really took him serious until they took down Triple H at WrestleMania.
Oh my gosh, I'm thinking in my head right now, did we just book a Mania match or something like that match? The Spear versus the Spear. You got Roman Reigns doing it, and then you got Goldberg. Could Roman Reigns be the one who retires Goldberg, or are they just going to go all out and have it Lesnar till the end to defeat him in that rubber?
I hope somebody. You know what happens? This is WWE. They'll probably book James Ellsworth against Bill Goldberg for the title. And James Ellsworth will have his hand raised at WrestleMania. The way that WWE books this shit. Oh, yes.
Before that, though, one last thing on this whole Goldberg thing. He even dropped the championship reign. He has one more reign in him. Do you think they would give him the belt? Because, I mean, they got two now. You know what I mean? Do you think they wouldn't mind putting that on him to where could we have a Universal Champion Bill Goldberg by sometime in 2017?
I seriously.
Is the Universal Championship turning into like a Legends title too, to where anybody can?
God, you're really just bumming me out on amateur night, dude.
Get ready for the new year. We'll work our way to that. But man, you just said it, James Ellsworth. Okay, I would have thought like 3 or 4 shows ago we would have stopped talking about it. But like I said, I have nothing against the guy.
Yes, you do. You're such a hater.
What I have against him is that I'm pretending I'm in NXT right now. I see this fucker come in there and just like it's. And the thing is that he's not Santino funny. He's just like dopey, fucking pathetic funny. And I get it, but at the same time, man, that 15 minutes ended like days ago. And come on, he got a contract now. Okay. This goes to show you how much Dean Ambrose sucks, because he can't even carry a program to the next pay-per-view with AJ Styles, and it's almost like James Ellsworth is carrying this program now. It just goes to show you that I don't know, ever since that Austin interview, it just seemed to go downhill for Mr. Ambrose there. James Ellsworth, man.
Let me ask you this: I mean, you're saying that Ellsworth has been carrying this story, and I think that's a very fair statement.
Yeah, he has, and that's goes to show you how much I could care less about Dean Ambrose. I'm sorry, kids, but
I know I feel bad for him. Do you think that Ellsworth making it look like he's carrying this program is because Ellsworth is actually that good, or is it because Ambrose has become that bad?
Ambrose has become that bad because it takes
really our hater. Oh my God!
So Ellsworth takes the focus off of Ambrose's lacking of character or whatnot, to where you still have that cool Dean. You have that cool Dean Ambrose now that Ellsworth can look up to. It's like Fonzie and Richie from fucking Happy Days. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
and Ambrose's mic skills makes up for Ellsworth's lack of a chin.
And that's exactly what it is. And it's like that's what it's turned out to be. The Fonz and fucking Richie Cunningham. There you go. So that's exactly it. But I mean, okay, like I said. I'll talk to James Ellsworth. I don't hate you, but I just hate that. It's a love-hate thing, to where I love how they're using guys from the outside. Trust me, I think that's really cool, to where they brought back jobbers, and now they're having look at this guy. This guy had one match with Braun Strowman, and then he's fought AJ Styles 3 times, won a contract, which also states he can have a championship match against him. Okay, I'm just gonna throw the headset down right now. I'm done with this show. A championship match? He totally.
You know what happens when I watch SmackDown now? I not only enjoy James Ellsworth, because I enjoy your reaction that's going to happen because of James Ellsworth, because I find it so funny that you hate him so much and that you're so annoyed.
Dude, it's crazy. But that's the thing. It's I don't hate him. I talk to him. Hey James, how's it going? I'm Steve. I'd be cool with it. But at the same time, it's just, I just hate. Don't even get me started.
He's got more Twitter followers than you. That's why you're mad. Is he verified on Twitter yet? I'm sure he's got to be.
I'm sure he's got to be. It's how could you
miss that? Are you verified on Twitter yet, Credo?
I'm not verified.
See, I knew it. Neither am I. Got 10 followers.
So yeah, it's been a crazy week, Hooter. I don't know what else we could talk about. I mean, if you guys are listening, girls out there, everybody who has anybody, please hit us up on our social media, facebook.com/Another Wrestling Podcast. Tweet us at a Wrestling POD. If you can't find them, go to anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. Everything's up there. It's 2016. It's almost 2017. You should know this by now.
Yeah, really.
But,
guys.
Coming up, we have a new TNA Knockout. She just had her debut match a few weeks ago with her husband, Cody Rhodes. Please welcome Brandi Rhodes. All right, joining us today is a former WWE ring announcer, a model, a blogger, and current TNA Knockout, Brandi Rhodes. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Now, Brandi, something fans may not know is that you were a competitive figure skater for over 17 years. How did you like skating, and was it as competitive as pro wrestling is today?
I would have to tell you, figure skating is a completely different bear. The best time of my entire life was the 17 years that I figure skated. It was, it's something I'm currently chasing, trying to get the same feeling from that time period of my life. But it was the absolute best time. Figure skating at a high level is extremely competitive. It makes pro wrestling look like a cakewalk, as competitive as it is, being that there are so many components to figure skating. Pro wrestling, it's kind of an acquired taste. You either like someone or you don't, and it's based on many things, but it's more fan-based. You're judged in figure skating. You're judged on a number of criteria that changes all the time, and it's kind of like a guessing game on how to be perfect, but you're not sure what you're being perfect up against. So it's really, really tough. And the girls and guys that are doing it now, they've really kind of upped the bar even more. So kudos to them. It is a very tough sport, but it is my absolute favorite sport.
Definitely. And from also what I know, that you have a master's degree in broadcast journalism, and you also worked in the news for a few years. Did you always have a draw to maybe just being on TV in some sort of way?
Yeah, I always wanted to, figure skating was, my first goal of things that I would like to do and go to the Olympics and all of that stuff. But my afterlife goal was always to do television, and news was my goal for as long as I could remember. People used to always tell me, it's funny because people get irritated with me with my voice. This is my actual real voice. It's not a carbon copy of any ring announcer's voice. It's my voice.
Sure.
And it has been my voice since I was a kid. I have a very authoritative kind of speakerish voice. And it's funny, people have always, I've had people even get mad at me and say before, like, would you stop talking like you're some sort of speaker or you're some sort of announcer? And I'm like, this is my voice. This is who I am. This is what I was born to do. So, so it's funny. It's just kind of always been in my blood. And ever since I was a kid, people would always say, you would make a great television personality, the way that you speak and the way that you carry yourself and your smile and everything. And I'm just like, yeah, that's all just the package I came in.
Sure. Now with, the ice skating to the side and now some of the news to the side, what drew you to pro wrestling? I mean, was it kind of with your voice? I mean, did your voice lead you to pro wrestling or what? How did that start?
Nope, not at all. Picture of me in a bikini led me to pro wrestling. At the time, John Laurinaitis was the director of talent relations, and he was from the era of athletic models. So I was kind of on the tail end of that era, but he selected me looking at models from different agencies. That's the exciting truth. Nothing else to it.
Sure.
Just I happen to be interested in learning something new. A lot of girls that came through that way weren't really interested. They would go for the tryouts, and it's very tough. You get beat up. You're bruised. It hurts. And some of them say, yeah, no, thanks. I'll go back to, modeling for swimwear magazines. And then some of us say, yeah, no, this is cool. I'm going to try it. I'm going to keep going. So.
Sure. Now, when you started, that led you to the WWE contract you had, but you didn't start wrestling as much. You came in as an on-air personality, doing interviews, ring announcing, and I know you trained a lot to wrestle, and you had a few matches off TV. But were you specifically looking to announce, or did they just love your voice and your look, and they want you to do that instead? How did that work out?
They just discovered that I had a good voice, and that pushed me into the role that I was in. And at the time, I was encouraged to go ahead and take that role because it could lead to something else. If I continued to train, it could lead to something else. Somewhere in that whole advice situation, the lines were crossed because I had continued to train and, was doing both. And then was kind of pulled aside by someone one day and said, hey, do you not want to be a ring announcer? And I was like, well, no, I'm enjoying this. This is kind of what I've been told to do, though, is to train too. And they said, no, you need to stop training because you're making it look like you don't care about this, which was the advice that I was given. So I was like, oh, okay, well, gosh, good. I don't know what to do in this sense. And then, that ended up being the time that I ended up leaving because it just didn't seem like they knew what they wanted for me at that point. So I decided, it's okay. I'll take some time away.
Sure. Did that maybe upset you? I mean, did you want to wrestle more, or did you, just kind of whatever door opened pretty much? That they took you away from training. Did you really, at the end of the day, you just wanted to be in the ring, or?
Well, I think everybody wants whatever the best opportunity for them is going to be. And at the time, just doing all that travel and all of the training and everything to only be able to announce 2 matches a night, which at the time was Superstars. There were 2 matches. And then go back and train and never have a match. I never had a practice match. I never had a match at all working there. So, it's kind of discouraging. You want to be your best at whatever opportunity you get, but if you're not getting an opportunity to be your best at any opportunity, then it's not really an opportunity.
Definitely. And now with the announcing and all that preparation from even being in broadcast, did that prepare you for being in front of over 76,000 people for WrestleMania 31 announcing? They can tell you to do so much, but when you're put in front of all of that amount of people, is it just, I don't know, how does that feel, pretty much?
Well, I can tell you, for me personally, I do speaking engagements to this day where people will hire me to come, speak for corporate functions and whatnot. And the less people there are in front of me, the harder the job is.
Oh, really?
The more people that there are, the easier it is. Maybe it's because you cannot, it's almost like they're not real. When you can't see faces, you know they're out there, but so it's like live television. It's like you're speaking into a camera, but you don't see the million people that are that are tuned in watching, you know? So for me, the smaller the crowd, the more difficult. I actually just did a speaking engagement last week, and the first time I got up in front of the group, I could feel like my hand shaking, and I was like, "Oh, really? After this long? Okay." But of course, I warmed right up. But there. I can tell you, there weren't many times in WWE that I allowed myself to get nervous, like to the point of being shaky or any of that. I just focused on what I had to do.
Definitely. Well, now, on October 28th, you made your in-ring debut with your husband, Cody, for TNA. How was it for you to finally get that moment in the ring 4 years later after, getting into the business?
It was pretty indescribable. All of the things that I kind of felt like I missed before, being able to get that all in kind of one swing, because TNA they film everything all at once. It's not like you go for the week and then you go home and then you go for the week. You're there for like the full week and a half filming every single day, and it just was pretty surreal to me. I've never heard my name announced. I've never seen my name. I've never seen myself on a Tron. I've never seen myself in gear, like in a ring, So it was pretty cool, and it was great to see it received so well, because I know there are a lot of people that, are really diehard wrestling fans that, every detail of everything has to be great. And then there are the bigger audience, which is the fans that just want to be entertained. And they allowed me to entertain them, and they've kind of kept up with me ever since, and just they really loved watching this transition for me. So I couldn't have liked it anymore. I guess I would say.
Great. Now, not everyone gets to debut with their significant other. Was Cody able to help you prepare more outside of the ring too before you guys took on Mike Bennett and Maria?
We kind of take a different approach, I think, than a lot of people do. We kind of do our own thing. I had gone and was training on my own with folks there in Dallas, and putting together things on my own and figuring out what I was comfortable with. And, he just let me do that. He didn't have any overbearing of what I need to be doing, what I need to be wearing, how am I feeling? It was just, we were just there together and it went fine.
Great. Yeah.
But he's not very involved in that portion of my career.
All right. Now, outside of all the wrestling, fans can keep up with you on beingbrandireynolds.com, where you talk about fashion, health, fitness, home decorating, theme parks, travel, marriage, and, of course, horror films. What can the fans expect from you from your blog? I mean, I know I just mentioned a few things on there, but is this pretty much your home base as far as reaching out to everybody?
So for a long time it has been, and then recently I have slowed down considerably with it. It's kind of a revamp for me. I'm needing to kind of refine the material that I want to talk about. And, if you're not feeling passionate about something, It's very hard to write about it. So kind of taking a little bit of a hiatus from the blog, but it's still there for people to read, past entries that I've had that they've really liked and resonated with. And hopefully soon I'll be able to post some more.
Definitely. Well, I mentioned a little bit of horror films. Speaking of horror, before getting married to Cody, one of your first dates was at the Halloween Horror Night at Universal Studios. And being a horror fanatic as you are, did you realize that he was a keeper then?
I'll tell you that night going to Halloween Horror Nights, that meant a lot to me, because I had wanted to go to Halloween Horror Nights for so long. I had lived in Miami for a long time, and it's just a drive, and I could never get anyone to want to go with me. It was always, me trying to convince everyone, like, oh, we should go. It's worth the trip. It's worth the, just to stay. And no one ever wanted to do it. So when I finally found somebody that wanted to do it, I was ecstatic and elated a really great night. We had a lot of fun. And that's probably the reason why I continue to go so much today. I went twice this year. I went once to Universal Orlando and then once to Universal Hollywood, just to kind of compare the difference. And they're very different in how they present their versions of Halloween Horror Nights. They're both really, really cool. So yeah, I'm definitely grateful to have had that first Halloween Horror Nights date or whatever.
Now, also, I understand you were working on a book too about horror. Yes, I have been. It's in the closing stages. It's one of those things that I just keep rewriting stuff. I keep thinking, okay, I'm done here. And then when I reread again, I see something that I don't like or that I don't feel like quite connects or makes sense. And then I'll scratch a chapter and start it again. And I've been doing that for a few months now. So hopefully, eventually I get to a point where I am 100% confident and really, really like everything that I have down there. And then we can, of course, start working towards publishing. My agents do book publishing as well. That doesn't mean they'll buy it, but they may. And, I'll just keep going with it until if they don't buy it, I'll keep going with someone until somebody does buy it. This week is Thanksgiving. What can you tell the fans out there? What is a typical maybe Thanksgiving like for you and Cody? And do you guys have any big plans this week?
Typical, I really don't know the answer to that. I honestly was thinking about it, and I don't know what we normally do. I know that last year we had a Thanksgiving at our home. It was very nice. This year I have no plans for Thanksgiving. Cody will be working the day after to entertain some fans, so there were no plans. It's kind of hard to have a Thanksgiving when your spouse is out of town. So
definitely.
And then we now, being in LA, there's no one close by family wise, so there was really no point to me making a meal for myself. So.
Well, how about this? What are you thankful for this year then?
Oh gosh, I'm very thankful for my health, I would say. I have had a couple of situations this year that I've not felt very well, or I've not been doing very well, I guess, as far as my health is concerned. And I've always been a very healthy individual. So there's been some moments this year where I've been kind of stumped, like, oh man, I'm really getting older, I guess. There are problems starting to show up. But I'm very glad that at this point, at least in my life, I'm still pretty healthy. And at least, when things do go wrong, I'm still able to recover pretty well. I'm currently kind of recovering in a situation. So I'm just glad that things aren't any worse.
Definitely. Well, Brandi, we thank you so much for taking the time out. We know you're busy, but with the social media universe, where can the fans keep up with you today in case they don't know it already?
My Twitter and my Instagram are my most active accounts, and those are the same address. It's the Brandi Rhodes. And again, the blog is beingbrandirunnels.com, and those are usually the best places to find me.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and we hope to hear from you down the line, okay?
Great. Thank you.
This is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to another wrestling podcast in association with CelebVM. Order a personal video message from me and many other wrestlers and celebrities now. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Get a personal video message for yourself or as a gift for someone else. For personal connections, shout-outs, birthdays, proposals, weddings, and much more. Enter your details about yourself so the celebrity can record a personal video message especially for you, including details such as your name, age, birthday, hobbies, or whatever else you include. As soon as the video has been recorded, you'll get an email with your link so you can share it on social media or download and keep it. Celebrities record videos as and when they can, usually within 2 weeks. But if you want a video for a specific date and it does not look like it will arrive in time, you can cancel it and get an instant refund at the click of a button. There are hundreds of celebrities to choose from and many more joining every day. Search by category or genre. buy a gift voucher, get updates and offers, and encourage your favorite celebrities to join so they can connect with fans in a fun and unique way. Raise money for their charities, and much more. So order your video now for yourself or for someone else.
Hi, this is Ryan Stewart from Poughkeepsie, New York, and I'm here to talk about memories of wrestling in Poughkeepsie. Most memorable night was in June of 1986. I was in middle school, and my dad would get us tickets to go to the TV tapings there on a fairly regular basis. And he called me when I got home from school saying they had just put up on the marquee that Hulk Hogan was going to be there that night, and he had not been at any of the tapings that I had been to. And I was very excited, that we had already purchased tickets, and on our way in, we saw some of my classmates and their fathers leaving because they had been to the box office and it was now sold out, and they were going home without tickets, and we were going in with tickets. It was a tag team match, Hulk Hogan and Paul Orndorff versus King Kong Bundy and Big John Studd. And the crowd was frenzied for Hulk's entrance. He ripped his T-shirt off and everything, and Orndorff did all or most of the work in the match, and then turned on Hogan, clotheslined him, pile-drived him, and aligned himself with Bobby Heenan and Studd and Bundy. And the crowd was just furious. And I remember this was before internet and stuff. I remember telling my friends about it, and they had to wait like a certain number of weeks before they could see it. And I had already seen it live. And even my dad, who was not a wrestling fan, he was just a good dad who would take me, he was shocked by it and couldn't believe it. So that really stood out among other memories. NWA at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. And in addition to some of the things that Kevin Sullivan did at the show, Bobby Eaton in a Midnight Express match accused the opponent of pulling his balls, and was not something we saw at WWF in the 80s. And I remember Jim Cornette, without a microphone, could be heard throughout the Civic Center. He said, "Tell me, Mr. Referee, is or is not ball pulling illegal?" And I also remember Ron Simmons, a young Ron Simmons was there, and he showed a lot of potential. A youngish Rick Steiner was there, and he was great too. And it was great to see NWA stars up close and personal. And that is one of my big memories of wrestling in Poughkeepsie. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you have a good time.
Thanks to Brandi Rhodes for stopping by and talking with us this week.
That's right. You know, it is the holidays, the beginning of the holiday season, Thanksgiving. Cooter, we mentioned earlier, we're home right now on the one of these little party nights talking wrestling. We are home for the holidays, baby. So why not talk about our hometown, our home area? You know, we're from the Hudson Valley, so we're surrounded by the tri-state area, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey. But right in our backyard, you know, from the Civic Center, there's many places over here in Danbury and Connecticut. A lot of things have happened in our area. So maybe for everybody listening out there, no matter where you are, get to give you an idea where we're from. In a way, what's happened in our area, the historical things. Come take the little history tour of our hometown, and you know, hey, let's get right into it, right? One of the things that have happened in our area, like I said, the Mid-Hudson Civic Center has played a role for a lot of WWE stuff in the early 80s and 90s from tapings and whatnot here, but just little tidbits here and there. You know, the Macho Man Randy Savage debuted, Cooter, up here in Poughkeepsie. Do you remember this?
See, this is way before my time, and up until I saw the rundown sheet for today's episode, I had no idea that was a fact. So, I mean, this is surprising even to me. So, I mean, the Macho Man having his WWF debut in Poughkeepsie, such a big deal. I mean, I've heard guys talk about a lot of great moments, but this one was never actually told to me, so...
Yeah, and, you know, for everybody listening to, we're going to post the links to some of the things that we're talking about, and then you'll actually see the video of of the actual event. At least we're lucky enough for this YouTube era. You can kind of look up some of these videos now. Even on the network, if your kids got it, I'm sure you got it. You're a wrestling fan. So from the Macho Man Cooter to Miss Elizabeth. Did you know the Macho Man was a big he was a big client to have, and so all the managers at the time were trying to woo him, if you will, to let them manage him. From Bobby the Brain, Mr. Fuji, Classy Freddie Blassie, and so on. They were after the Macho Man, so the Macho Man was gonna pick somebody, and this night up here in Poughkeepsie, he picked Miss Elizabeth to be his manager. Another historical moment of our area, our home. What do you think about that? Did you see this video of Miss Elizabeth's debut?
Yes, I've seen this video before, and I actually did know that she debuted here. A couple of the old timers from the area always speak about Miss Elizabeth's debut. Oddly enough, they never talk about Savage's debut in the same town. They always want to talk about that beautiful woman. Oh my God, was she fantastic! But I mean, Miss Elizabeth, 1 in a million, has her debut in our backyard. Would have thought.
It could have happened anywhere, and it happened 20 minutes right up the street. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
So it's great. And one of the funny things, too, if you listen to the Colt Cabana episode a few weeks ago, we talked to him. We saw him earlier this year at Global Force Wrestling in Poughkeepsie, and we talked to him a few weeks ago also. And this moment where Andre the Giant, believe in '84, got his head cut by Big John Studd and Ken Patera. It was a moment where it was a big deal. Back in the 80s, you had a little bit. You had some long hair still from the 70s, and they didn't know what to do with it. People started cutting it, right? So
there you go. I thought you said head cut. I was like, wait a minute. They busted open Andre. Oh, he had a haircut.
So it was a big deal. It was a good stipulation, and for the Giant, this forever changed his head landscape. I don't know. You could say this is where he cut the hair, man.
Just to rock that huge, massive fro, so terrible looking. But he started to actually look like more of a human being. Yeah. And then because he stopped wearing those trunks, he had shorter hair, and he ended up wearing that big singlet. So I mean.
This is great. Some of the little TV history, and it's great that we can actually see it too. So, there's other little things that might have happened up here, but as far as like actually viewing these, you can find them all on YouTube. Like I said, we'll post the links. But I mean, it's kind of cool. It's just a little tidbit story of what's happened in our home area, and I guess we're giving thanks to it. It is the Thanksgiving episode. We're thanking some of the history right here in our backyard, because that's why, this is what we do, Cooter. We're another wrestling podcast. We gotta at least tell the people where we're from, and it's like the pro wrestling capital of the world, this region that we live in, this tri-state area.
Yeah, eventually we might get to some of these that we've actually borne witness to. So, I mean, let's see what else we got over here. Dude, we actually had a title change I can see over here. Tell me about this, Greedo.
Yeah, man. So in '85, they did a bunch of tapings and stuff then, because like I said, the Civic Center was the place to film a lot of these. It was a big enough size. It was a good looked good on camera. It was great, man. It was probably cheap too back then to film in there. So the U.S. Express, Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham, they defeated the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov, regaining the WWF Tag Team Championship. They had lost to the pair at WrestleMania on March 31st in '85. So it was, it was a little title change. It was, it's a WWF Tag Team Championships.
Little title change?
We're
talking about 4 Hall of Famers who were involved in a title change in our backyard, God damn it.
Well, when he's right, right?
Listen, don't ever disrespect the Sheik.
No disrespect,
Russia,
Sheik.
number 1. Iran, number 1. USA.
No offense, Sheik. I was hanging out with RVD. I know you've been with the Sandman tonight. It is Thanksgiving Eve, so it's excuse me, but it's a great another little milestone that happened here. To where did that title change happen? It is in the history books that it was right in our hometown in Poughkeepsie, New York. Cooter, man, it's these little things just to let you know what we've lived around in a way. It's like these little monuments of pro wrestling history have happened right here in our backyard. So it's great to talk about.
All right, what else do we have here, Credo?
Well, still capturing this 80s mood, if you will. A big song in the 80s was The Land of a Thousand Dances. They filmed the music video for The Land of a Thousand Dances. I think there was another video out, but this one was all wrestlers, and it was
oh god,
and it's at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center on stage, like anybody and everybody in the WWE at that time, or WWF, whatever, was in this video. Everybody was in it, from head to toe, even Vince McMahon, everybody. It's a funny, wacky video, but I mean, if you play, I'll play it right now. I'll just have the music in the background, but it's
oh god, this is by far the most obnoxious thing I think you've ever made me watch. Oh god,
history, damn it, history.
This isn't history. No, this is something Poughkeepsie should forget. It's just a terrible video. Oh my god.
Now, as we walk down memory lane, it's just these little things. We're like taking a stroll through our hometown, Cooter. Thanksgiving, we're home for the holidays. I got to keep repeating that because I just want to make sure we get the point, right? So
yeah, let's start talking about some of the shit we've actually seen.
Well, yeah,
not things that we've heard secondhand, because a lot of these, like I said, I've heard from some guys because there are a lot of fans who are older than us who actually got to witness some of that stuff from the 80s live. So I mean, it's always cool to hear their stories. And some of the ones that were mentioned, I always thought was funny. Was I always heard they always used to talk about Elizabeth debuting there. Not too many people ever really talked about Savage debuting, so they want to remember the good things, right?
Well, so this was really our time period. If we fast forward a little bit, now we're into the 90s. They filmed a lot of the Raws there. I don't know, like a handful of Raws there. It was a good spot to go to every so often just to make the rounds, because it was a good place for TV. So, a lot of memorable moments happened there. One big moment was the 1-2-3 Kid who fought Razor Ramon, and that was the $10,000 match.
Oh God, yeah, he bet him $10,000 that he couldn't beat him again. I think before he was the 1-2-3 Kid, he beat Razor Ramon as the LL Kid.
Yeah, man.
With the moonsault out of nowhere, and it just shocked the world live on Raw.
Then you got to see him. He ran into the streets of Poughkeepsie. He ran out the door, and you knew that was the Civic Center. It was like, he's running down the road over here, and it was cool.
Literally running down Main Street, Poughkeepsie. I'm like, oh my god.
So yeah, at this time, man, I was of age to go to these shows in a way to where I've been to some house shows in the 80s and 90s, but I never was at a TV taping just because you had other stuff going on. Like my parents weren't concerned about going to this TV taping as much as I was in a way. So that was happening. I remember I met I was trying to meet Razor Ramon up here at a Video Treats at a signing.
Oh my God, you just blew my mind.
But lo and behold,
Treats.
And he never showed up. So friggin' they send out Typhoon, or he was Tugboat at the time. They sent out Tugboat. And so I was like, fuck, I wanted to meet Razor Ramon, so they sent Tugboat instead. And little did I know, our good friend Steve Cohen was at that same signing, and he actually waited and said Razor Ramon did show up, and I was so pissed because I went there and I left and I figured he wasn't coming. And,
oh my God!
But the long story short is I never was able to go to any of these Raws they filmed here. I remember even Kevin Nash was at Movie Stars then at that time over here by us, right over here at this plaza.
Oh my God, Jesus, you're really going back.
And Nash was giving out free tickets for Raw, and I was somewhere else, and my friends were down there, and they got free tickets for Raw. Another day of that, I was pissed, so I missed all these Raws, Cooter. So now let's fast forward even more in the late 90s, 2000s. ECW, baby. ECW came, we're in high school now, and I'm like, I am not missing this. You know what I mean? I missed all these other little Raws back then, and I wanted to redeem myself, and not only did we redeem ourselves, but it was like, it's so much better than what it was. You know what I mean? It's like...
God, I remember this. This was our junior year, and...
I went to all the shows.
Oh, God, this was... like I said, this is junior year of high school. And this was a live pay-per-view. It was 1999's Hardcore Heaven. And the match that sticks out to everybody.
Around the world.
Oh, God.
This is one of the matches, if you ever had a top 10 matches of matches, this is one of them.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, Rob Van Dam, the whole fucking show, versus Jerry Lynn, the new fucking show. And it was a no time limit match for the ECW World Television Championship. And what's so funny is that I will never forget being there in that building, there was some asshole holding up a New Paltz suck sign. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And it's like every time I see this match on like YouTube or like on a DVD that I have, I see that stupid sign and I just can't help but laugh my ass off, dude.
Oh man, but it's great. I mean, you guys, if you haven't never seen the RVD versus Jerry Lynn match, it's on the network. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. Just watch it. It's one of those matches that we witnessed, and that's really cool. And it's a big match. I mean, it's if you do a top 10 ECW matches, this is like one of the top 5. You know what I'm saying? So another little niche in our hometown is one of the things that have taken place here, and it's not like just any match. It was one of the greatest matches of all time, if you will.
Oh yeah, there's no question. Yeah, I mean that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, man. So ECW was big back then, and it was like once again they used the Civic Center for the exact same reasons WWE did back in the 80s and 90s. That it was a perfect size for them at that time, and it looked good on TV to where they didn't have to pay a lot of money for this building, and they could put cameras in there and make it look bigger than what it was in a way, and it's perfect. It was perfect for them, and I was so happy that we got to witness more TV and a pay-per-view in there because I was not only that I wasn't able to go to the TVs, the Raws back then, and now I was officially at a local pay-per-view. So though it was one of the notches in our belt, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
But man, ECW was big here. Scott Hall made an appearance briefly. He came back for 2 shows. It was like one of those times in 2000. I think he left WCW for his alcohol problems or whatnot. But he showed up here, made a big appearance. That could be found on YouTube and stuff or whatnot. But Cooter, man, speaking of ECW, please, we've talked about this off air. You've talked about it, briefly with others. But tell us about this because it's not all just the Mid-Hudson Civic Center here in Poughkeepsie. Cooter, take us out to Danbury, Connecticut.
God, Danbury, Connecticut. And the only reason I was okayed by my parents to go to a show, not that I really needed to be okayed, but it was, it was a gift from them. They got me these tickets because it was on the college campus of where I got accepted to go the next year. It was the Western Connecticut State University at the O'Neill Center, which was their like little gym. And they were having Living Dangerously over there. And I really could not even tell you anything that happened on that card outside of the Danbury Fall, as it's been called. That was the night where, oh God, New Jack and Vic Grimes literally almost killed each other, Credo.
Oh, I've seen the video. You guys can see the video, I'm sure, on YouTube.
Oh God, it was brutal. I mean,
what was it like being there live though? Because I just seen it on video. You were there live, and I mean, like ECW did some crazy shit, but this is like, come on, somebody almost died. These guys almost died.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I just remember it being so loud because all they do that whole time that New Jack is out there is they play that same song over and over. The only thing I can really tell you, Credo, was it was just so loud in that building because every time New Jack had a match, they played Natural Born Killers throughout the whole match, and this is going on. These two are falling off a scaffolding. I think it was a scaffolding.
Yeah.
And it was a botched spot where they were supposed to go through 2 tables together, and I guess from what New Jack tells the story later on, years later, Vic didn't want to go with him, and New Jack decided to pull him with him, and they missed the tables, and Vic Grimes landed on New Jack's head to the concrete floor. So I mean, he's got pretty much permanent brain damage from that, and
he's like blind too from that, right? He said one of his eyes, he couldn't see totally.
That's what he says. I mean, I don't know if it's complete blindness or if it's just like eye damage or whatever it is, but I mean, that's crazy, incredible, man, that he lived through that, and it's just like. They just kind of, okay, like it was no big deal and on with the show. And I'm like, these two guys could have almost just died.
I know, man. And that's the thing. It's like, I wasn't there live, but it was like, did you actually think they somebody I don't know, did they move right away after that, or what did you see live?
They just swept them up and moved them the fuck out of there. I mean, at that point, you were just so. Because the thing about it is they make it seem like it was just no big deal.
Yeah.
Like, all right, it's just on with the next thing.
I would have loved to see what they would do to try to get back down. Like, Vic's like, I'm not going to do it. Like, how do you just work your way back? Like, that's such a tease, especially for this bloodthirsty crowd. It's like, man, you don't do it, you're going to, like, get fucking heckled, or if you do it, you die.
It was no contest. The match was over after that, Credo. I mean, it was done. I mean, they didn't even fight after that. It was just ridiculous.
It's crazy, man. So yeah, if you watch this, that's nuts. That's crazy. That's, man. Another thing that you witnessed, a little notch on our cherry tree up here in our hometown area, home for the holidays, Cooter. Now fast forward a little bit, because WWE bought ECW and it became the ECWWE. A funny little story. We were both at this, and I remember watching that Raw that night, but I'll let you tell the story best. But it involved the Big Show in ECW, the ECW WWE brand.
Yeah, I mean, Big Show was the ECW champion at the time, and it was a house show on a Monday night. It was ECW was doing house shows by itself before they got paired with SmackDown. And what was so crazy about it was the main event was supposed to be Big Show versus Sabu for the main event. And they actually opened the show with that match.
I remember, yeah, and I was like, why are they doing that first? Like, that's like the main event, right? Like, why are they doing the main event first?
Yeah, I remember you're sitting a couple of rows in front of me, and I remember screaming at the Big Show, big, slow, and then he kind of turned and looked right at me and said, your mother likes it slow, and you just turned and started laughing at me. I'm like, fucking Credo. The whole crowd's like, ooh, and what am I supposed to do after that? Because if you say anything back, you're that guy, and I'm like, not trying to go there. But, I mean, we got home at a reasonable hour. We got to watch the end of Raw, you know what I mean? And, God, this was during...
That's what I was worried about, too. I was like, man, I don't want to miss Raw, because it was that late at night already, you know what I mean? Like, by the time we got home, like, Raw would just be starting in a way, so, a few minutes later or whatever.
Yeah, it was right in the middle of the DX reunion, too.
And I was always wondering why it was like... I mean, it was a Monday. It was
Monday night.
Yeah, so, man, it's crazy. So, yeah, get to the good part.
Yeah, so this is the middle of the McMahon versus the DX storyline, where they had gotten back together, and all of a sudden they're going to have a handicap match at the next pay-per-view in a Hell in a Cell, and the McMahons are going to have a special partner. And lo and behold, out comes the Big Show live on Raw, which was in Atlantic City, which is a couple hours from us by drive. Yeah, so he must have been choppered off from.
Because it's like if we drive here from our hometown, that's at least like three hour drive.
Hours, at least. So I mean, that was just crazy, and I'll never forget Jim Ross calling that live. Oh my God, it's the Big Show. He was just at an ECW live show in Poughkeepsie, and we're just like, yeah, you name drop Poughkeepsie on TV.
And I think it was just a great feeling because we were at that show.
Yeah,
it was literally like he's on Raw, so it was kind of like, whoa, this is. It was just surreal because, like, I know it was close, but not that. It wasn't that close. Like, they literally had to fly him down there fast.
It was such a big deal, but it was just cool to us because it was
just another thing that happened, man. That's it.
Yeah.
It's another little hometown story, man. It's a great story. I love it. Other little things have happened here. Tommy Dreamer has said many times that he broke his back against Lance Storm in a match up here. For a lot of independents around here too. For Northeast Wrestling. I hope I have this. So I'm going to see if I can find it. But it was the Ultimate Warrior. I think it was like a year or two before he died or something to that effect. It was pretty close to when he died. And he gave a speech, man. And let's hear it right now.
Speak to me, warrior! And you all expected me to run to the ring and shake the ropes, didn't you? I thought a lot about what I was going to say for the couple minutes recognizing, like I did in the 3 hours over there, meeting people who were Ultimate Warrior fans, meeting the little kids who've been turned on to Ultimate Warrior by their parents, who were kid Ultimate Warrior fans. It made me realize that I'm not that guy from 20 years ago, but the spirit of the Ultimate Warrior that still lives on is more powerful than even Ultimate Warrior was during his WWF days. And the best thing I can do to honor the memory of that great part of my life is to simply tell you how much I appreciate and thank you for your support and being fans of that, because that made me the man that I am today. I love you for that. I love you for that. I love my life because of that. I get the most out of every day of my life because of that. And I will never, ever forget my loyalty to that and to you.
It was just good to like see him in the ring and hear what he had to say. I got some great photos of him, and I actually had an email from the Ultimate Warrior because I was talking to whatever guy. I made the poster for the event, right? So he loved the picture of him in the poster, and he wanted a high res version of it. So I emailed it to him, and it was like I was emailing the Ultimate Warrior. I'm like, this isn't real. Like, it's like, stop it. It's like, stop fucking emailing the Ultimate Warrior. And when I met him, he's like, he was appreciative of helping him find the photo and all that stuff, and it was just cool, man. And it was cool to witness that because it was a moment, at least for an independent place, that I really got to see one of my one of my heroes growing up on live and in front center, like he was in the ring again. You know what I mean? So it was a good emotional moment that they actually brought to us.
Yeah, that was a pretty surreal moment. I mean, and Northeast Wrestling has brought us a lot of really cool moments. I mean, I remember one for me from them was, and at the time it was basically Terry Funk's last match. He's had so many last matches, but this was him versus Jerry the King Lawler. I mean, two very grizzled, seasoned vets, but I mean, even at his age at the time, I mean, Terry Funk would not just stop throwing chairs and going absolutely bonkers. So, I mean, they just get guys that you don't expect. So kudos to Northeast Wrestling for all the great shows that they put on and continuing to get great talent, something new every time, it's really good.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of things up there. We even we've been to some TNA shows there, but they actually had a taping, a 1-9 only taping, and it was #OldSchool in Poughkeepsie, New York. It was in 2013. Yeah, 2013. It was on a Monday, December 30th. And I was like, at this point, I was like, I was watching TNA, but I wasn't as much into it. And so I was like, it's a pay-per-view. Let's go check it out. And it did not feel like a pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like, we saw them filming, but it wasn't like I expected something else, I guess, from a pay-per-view. And it wasn't live, too, so that's the thing. So it wasn't live. That was it. That's why I didn't feel like it. They were taping it, and it was like this would be shown like 6 weeks or something, or 4 weeks later, 2 weeks later, whatever.
God.
So it was like they taped it to be aired later live. So they'd play it, they'd stream it live, but it was taped like a few weeks prior. I forget how many. I don't remember, but it was like a few weeks. So it was one of those weird things to where it was like, and I still have yet to see it. I never watched it because I didn't want to pay for it. So I was like,
it's so funny.
I lived it. I didn't need to see it really because it wasn't really, I don't know. We're ringside, so.
They never did a really good job of selling that building. I don't think they ever sold it out. I mean, I know they did a handful of house shows.
No, yeah. I mean,
the first ones, I mean, it was a good crowd.
They don't do a lot of advertising. They don't do a lot of like.
Yeah, it was like 75% full, and then it was maybe 2 or 3 years later I went to another one, and it like Credo. I'm telling you, wasn't even a quarter full. I was like, this is fucking embarrassing.
They don't. I mean, they got to do the legwork and promote it too.
Yeah, it's like, dude, there are indie companies who had, a couple of headline guys with less talent guys who were also on the card that sell that building out like it's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, TNA with all its TV time was not doing shit in that building. And that's saying a lot because there are a lot of wrestling fans, in this area, and they always jump at the opportunity. But you're right. They just refuse to advertise properly. They won't go to the papers. They barely do radio spots. They never put TV commercials on.
That's right, man. Well, at the end of the day, Cooter, happy Thanksgiving, man, because, I mean, it's been great being home for the holidays. Man, do a shot every time I say that this episode, and you'll have a great episode by the end of it. At the end of the day, we're still giving thanks for everything that has happened here in our home area. We are home for the holidays this season. And what better way to say thank you, right?
Oh, enough for the home at the holidays. You say that again, I'm going to punch you in the nuts. Oh, yes, we have been very fortunate in our little area known as the Hudson Valley to see some great-ass moments in the sport of professional wrestling. But I am tuning out of this podcast because if I have to hear you say that one more time, seriously, I'm going to fucking lose it.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes. Fucker.
Home for the holidays.
Fucker.